Hello and welcome to a new weekly podcast that comes to you in conjunction with the Saints DSA, presented by Mark C and Mark H, featuring Saints match previews and reviews. And coming up for you on today's podcast, we have the FA Cup semi-final preview, Saints versus Leicester City at Wembley. And yet, before everyone starts watching the game, or if you know anybody who happens to be around the Wembley area, if you happen to see Jamie Vardy, if you can just let them know, if you can just manage to sort of just tread on his foot or injure him before the game, that'd be fantastic. The Saints fans would appreciate that. Or anybody who lives in the Brent area, if you can just take him out of the game, that'd be brilliant. Thanks. Anyway, Mark, how are you doing?
Yeah, mate, I'm doing well and obviously ready to get my teeth into this preview.
Absolutely right. So I'm going to get Mark's thoughts on it first because I've sort of already know mine. What do you think, Mark? How's it looking for the semi-final? I'm guessing you're probably dreading it after what happened with West Brom, but looking forward to it because it's a semi-final and you're ever the optimist, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't say that. What I would say is, yes, obviously I'm looking forward to it. You know, as Saints fans, we don't get the many semi-finals, finals. So when they come along, you know, irrespective of the fact that we're not able to go to Wembley, you know, you still want to try and make the most of it and obviously make the most of the day. I mean, so we'll be doing that. We'll all be getting together on Zoom and cheering on the Saints. But in terms of my preview for the game, it is a difficult one. I tend to think to myself, for me, there's key battles over the pitch, right? One key battle would be in the midfield, and it would be between JWP, James Ward-Prowse, and Yuri Tillemans. I think, you know, those two should be battling for control of the midfield. You know, who's going to earn the right in the middle of the park. And also, Mark, hopefully we will see, for me, who are the two informed strikers of both the clubs in the shape of Iheanacho for Leicester.
Yeah, Kelechi Iheanacho, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Shea Adams for ourselves. You know, the thing is Shea Adams has been overlooked for recent games, and yet, you know, he came back. He was scoring goals for the club. He's recently won our Goal of the Month competition for his goal at Sheffield United. And also, you know, he's been scoring for the club. Not only that, he's been scoring for his new country, Scotland.
He has.
And I just sort of turn around and think to myself, you know, that should be an interesting duel, given that I think I'm right in saying Shea Adams has scored 3 out of 3 in the last 4 games. You know, Iheanacho hasn't stopped scoring. I think he's something like 5 and 3 or something like that there. So, you know, that's going to be an interesting contest as long as Shea starts. I mean, it's just going to be an intriguing one because, as I say, you just never tell with a team like ours at the moment, and that's the truth of the matter. I mean, you know, historically, I'll mention it once and once only. You know, the 9-0 in our place, and then in the same season, you know, we go to Leicester and win 2-1. So, you know, all I'm saying is it is a one-off game, and let's try and focus on the one-off game. But hand on heart, and I don't really, you know, I want to start off this new podcast in a positive.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
But I just don't see it.
Yep.
I mean, my gut feeling is that it's going to be 2-1 to Leicester, and my thoughts for why it'll be 2-1 to Leicester is they haven't won they've never won an FA Cup, right? Something's got to give between Brendan Rodgers and Hasenhüttl, because both of them have said in recent interviews that they're both targeting the FA Cup. Well, I hate to tell you, one of you are going to miss out even on getting to the final, if that's the case. And I don't think you can look beyond. I mean, I'm at the end of the day, I'm a Saints fan. I do the home and away, all the games, and I don't like saying it because it is, it is a prestige moment for the football club. But you've got to look at the facts. You've got to look at the table. They're going for Champions League. We're not even totally sure. Although I think we'll be okay, but we're still not totally mathematically sure that we're going to be in the Premier League next season. So, there's a chasm between us in respect to that. And, I'm not necessarily convinced that Leicester are gonna finish in the Champions League places. I think it is possible that they could end up doing the same thing that they done last season, right? And the chances are they'll probably finish, in the Europa League, in a Europa League spot or something like that.
Yeah.
But you can't escape that. And the other thing about it is I just can't escape the fact that there was the incident with their players last weekend, right? And obviously, Brendan Rodgers, people are applauding him, but the thing that I think is, if you're doing something like that to teach them a lesson, you don't play them in an FA Cup semi-final.
Well, yeah, that's the way I've done it. I mean, it's tactical, isn't it? It's tactical, 100%. He wants his best players available, and that's why he's done it. It's completely tactical.
Exactly. Yeah. So the thing is, I mean, I'm not sure about Chowdhury. Of the three, I'm not sure about Chowdhury. Wes Morgan, our club captain, was obviously involved as well, which surprised me, given his experience. You would think that an older footballer at the football club, who obviously gets what Leicester's about, he's an East Midlands lad. He previously played for Nottingham Forest. He's the club captain. He should be getting, the whole thing about the football club, the city, the owners even, and he's massively let the club down. But I just think that the ones that will play, and I think Perez, and James Maddison will play a part at some stage, and given that they've let the club down, they've let the city down, the supporters down. Leicester's been the biggest city in the longest lockdown in the country as well. And I just think they owe the city and the club so much that if they do get the take to the Wembley turf, they will be busting a gut come Sunday. I'm sure. On the flip side of that, I'm hoping that Saints feel that they've got a point to prove off the back of Monday night's, debacle. But the thing is we are a good side, but we are consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is why just to kick off with, I'm going to go against it. And also, there's a little bit of psychology involved as well, because I sort of think to myself, well, if I back the Foxes to win, hopefully, perversely, it encourages Saints to actually win the game.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. But I'm looking forward to what you have to say, because I know that Gary Lineker's one of your favourite presenters.
No, I'll be honest, mate. I'll be the first to admit that I was pretty annoyed with the way he reacted. Look, I understand it. He's from Leicester. He played for Leicester. I get it, right? I get it completely. But when you're presenting a programme, I always feel if you're presenting a programme, you should remain impartial, okay? I'm not saying you shouldn't celebrate off screen. Hear me out. Don't interrupt. Hear me out. I just think, look, I'm not saying people won't stay impartial. I just think if you're fronting up a football programme, you've got to try and stay as impartial as possible, okay? Get excited for your team. I get that. But to blatantly state some of the stuff he does at times, I just think sometimes some of the stuff he blatantly states, there probably isn't any need for it. I get it. He's enthusiastic about it. He's a Leicester fan. Fine, let him have his moment. He thoroughly aggravated me, and I said, I hope we blooming stuff him, right? Which is fair enough. That's what I thought at the time. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and in hindsight, yeah, it was a bit of a silly thing to say at the time, but that's how I felt. I'm a passionate Saints fan, as you are, Mark, and that was passion speaking. That's all that was.
No.
I'm as realistic as you are. I'm ever the optimist because I'm a Saints fan, and if you're a Saints fan, you have to be ever the optimist anyway, no matter what. And I am, same as you, right? We speak passionately and we speak honestly. Being honest, it did rile me, it did wind me up. I'm over it. I'd love to see us go out and put a performance in because that's the most important thing. The West Brom result was awful, not great preparation for a cup final. I think when we've got a fully fit team, we're capable of beating anybody, but we have to be on it, and we have to be on it from minute one. We weren't on it at minute one against West Brom. We weren't against Burnley. It's not great preparation for a cup final. Did they all have their eyes on a cup final? Of course they did. They're professionals, but also they're human. Of course they had their eyes on the semi-final of the cup. Who wouldn't? I would. Damn right I would. Absolutely. So I'm not surprised if that was the reason. But they do have a point to prove now, and we need them to prove a point, and we need our players to say, this is the most important game of my entire Saints career. I'm up for this game. I want to win this game. And we need to see that. And I don't think we've seen that in other games this season. This is the one game you've got to leave everything on the pitch. And they've got to do that. 100%.
I agree with you.
And that's all I want them to do. If they do that and we still lose, I'll take that any day because they've put 110% in. If they've left it all on the pitch, Mark, I'll take a loss. I don't want a loss. Of course I want us to win. I'm a Saints fan. I'm not a Leicester fan. I want to win it. I want to get to the cup final and win it. 45 years after the last one, of course I want to win it. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? You imagine the city, imagine the buzz everyone would get. Of course I want to win it. But like you, I've got to be a little bit more realistic. Leicester have been in fantastic form. Iheanacho's been in fantastic form. We've got to play to our strengths. And I'm not sure against Burnley and West Brom we played to our strengths because, to be quite frank, against West Brom we didn't play at all. And against Burnley we certainly didn't play to our strengths. And that's the key for me.
Well, it took us half an hour to turn up against Burnley.
Well, the thing is, against West Brom, we didn't turn up at all.
Anyway, the other thing is Mark, is, you know, if you're gonna kind of nail Gary Lineker to the cross, right, for cheering on his hometown club, right, you know, and expect him to be impartial because he's presenting a program, then you might as well get rid of all the pundits on the BBC, because all those people that are on there, they're all biased towards the clubs that they played for, clearly.
It's very true, very true. Yeah, look, we all know it. Look, Franny Benali's like it, Matt Letizier's like it. It was a little bit of light banter around the set, but I was a little bit annoyed, to be fair. Now it's just banter. I'm just giving it large because I'm a Saints fan. I want us to stuff them. It's as simple as that. You know, that's the bottom line. I'm a Saints fan. I want to see us stuff them, but that was banter. You know, and everyone has a bit of that. Yeah, we have it at our open days that we do. We have it at other events that we do, and we have it between ourselves. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? Football's about opinions. It's about banter. You've got to have a bit of fun.
Who's the key players and where are the key battles for you?
I mean, for me, key players for me, it goes without saying, Stuart Armstrong, James Ward-Prowse, Shea Adams, Danny Ings. If those four are playing and they're on form, then you've got a really good chance. But those four have to be absolutely on it. And the one key player for me, who's the most important, I think, given the recent games, I actually think central midfield, Ibrahima Diallo needs to have an absolute stormer. He needs to have a great game, Mark. He needs to be absolutely a midfield general. Right. Has he got that in his locker? I'm not 100%, but we'll see. Well, Cup finals a very big pressure environment.
Even though, Mark, I turned around and said to you about key battles, you know, in the midfield and obviously the two goal scorers up front, you know, I've got to say that for me, the real contest will be the back four of both teams. Because both teams are capable of lapses. Like was seen, you know, the Saints' defence, even though there's been some improvement, it still doesn't necessarily convince me because, you know, when you look at the injuries we were having, yes, Vestergaard was out for a bit of a while, and so was Kyle Walker-Peters.
That's right.
You know, the likes of Bednarek, they were still there week in, week out. You know, and Ryan Bertram, you know, as I say, he's there week in, week out. So I do think that the key will be the defences, and when I say defences, the goalkeepers as well. I mean, Leicester, much as Johnny Evans is a great centre half. I mean, he's prone to lapses in concentration. I think the the star player on the pitch defensively for me is Fofana that plays for Leicester. He's had a hell of an impact this season, and I just think Saints need to be, and I'm going to go talk about Saints now. They need to be solid at the back, and again, it's not something that we've been all season. In the league, we've conceded something like 56 goals, which I think is the second worst defensive record. And again, that's a damning stat, when we're sat here and we're talking about the preview in the game. I wanna turn around and I wanna extend, I wanna accentuate the fact that, say, up until Monday, Nathan Redmond was in good form, and everything else. But I do think that for this one, Ralph needs to have a rethink, even maybe a little bit of a restructure, in terms of formation or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
And within that, I would look for maybe to change one or two personnel.
Yep.
Because I'm not, I don't believe in free rides,
no.
right? And this idea that, we've got to play him, there's no one else. You've still got a bench of players there.
Key question, Mark. Would you take Vestergaard out and put Salisu in, or do you think it's not the game for him?
Well,
do you think the big occasion would get to him, or do you think he'd raise his game?
I'm tempted to make a number of changes, mate. I'm tempted to. Theo Walcott wouldn't be in my starting 11. Now, whether that is Redmond or whether that is Gineppo, and I'm going to say it, I know people may have their fears about Gineppo, but I just think semi-final, unpredictability. The thing about Gineppo is, like any Saints fan, we don't know what he's going to do with the ball at his feet. And the beauty about it is, neither does he.
That's very, very true.
So there's that, and I think you've got to look at that. So he's got a decision to make there for me about whether it's Gineppo or whether it's Redmond. That would be the first thing. Obviously, I would bring Shea Adams in back up front, and the other thing is I would bring in Salisu only because he's much more mobile than Vestergaard, and I just think that attacking wise, okay, you could say Vardy maybe isn't as quick as what he used to be, but if
that would be the argument for keeping.
If Leicester get in behind him, he's dead in the water.
Yeah,
he is dead in the water.
The other issue is, I think, you and I both noticed that the last few games, Ryan Bertrand's not been at the races, has he? Are you concerned about left back, Mark, going into semi-final? Bearing in mind, it's a very wide pitch at Wembley, and bearing in mind the pace that Leicester do have up front, is that the main concern? Left back, maybe right back, because Carl Walker-Peters has struggled a little bit as well, hasn't he?
Look, I'm gonna say this, man, and I mean this generally, right? I am gonna say to you that Ryan Bertrand is going to play well, right? And the reason why I'm going to say that, and I hope I'm right, I'm nailing my colours to the mast here a little bit, but I hope I'm right. My thinking would be it's probably going to be his last big appearance at Wembley, right? So for professional pride, not just being a Saints player, but for professional pride, he would want to give his all to get the team to the final. You know, because we forget these days that it's only a semi-final because we're already at Wembley. You know, the end goal is actually trying to win the game and get to the final. And I do think that given that there's the possibility that this could be his last appearance at Wembley, he should raise his game just because of that. Just because of that. Whether he will or not, I don't know, Mark. Yep. I don't know.
That's a very good point.
Is the real answer. I don't know whether he will, you know. But I'd like to think that he will, you know, because he's an former England international. He's been there, seen it and done it. And this is probably, you know, one of his last games, if not his last game, on a big stage.
Yeah, I mean, I would also like to think that's the key, because it's probably his last one big chance of winning something at Saints. You know, big chance of doing something. And these key games are the ones where experience tells. Now, I remember the 70-16 team, a lot of experience in that team, a few youngsters in there as well, but a lot of experience. And I think when it comes to cup games, you can't beat experience. And I'm really hoping the experience will shine through. If the experience shines through, because there's quite a few young players in the Leicester team, if the experience shines through and our better players are on top form and our defence is strong enough and Fraser Forster has a blinder, which he's been doing, to be fair, I think we've got every chance. But Leicester, you can't take them for granted. You leave that back door open and they will punish you. Iheanacho's lethal and he's very quick. Vardy's not as quick as he used to be, but he's got a very intelligent brain when it comes to football. Brendan Rodgers has said it. He's amazed how tactically aware that Jamie Vardy is, and that's the issue. It's not so much the pace that Vardy's got, it's how tactically aware he is. He might not score himself, but he's always a threat. And recently this season, he's set up an awful lot of goals for Iheanacho. He may not be scoring many, but he's setting plenty up.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point, Mark. You make.
So for me, I think Vardy and Iheanacho are definitely a threat for them. But Maddison, you can't count him out. And they've got so many players in that team you can't count. Tielemans has played really well. Fofana's done really well at the back for them. But if our best players are on it and our keeper has a blinder, we've got a chance of getting a result. It's not a foregone conclusion by any means.
I agree. It's all about the more senior players taking on the responsibility for their own performances and encouraging the lesser lights, you know, to up their game around the pitch. And that's what it's all about. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Ralph's on a hype to nothing because the only thing that he can do is to send them out in a positive mindset, you know, and at halftime give the proper pep talk. And maybe if we end up going into the dreaded, you know, extra time, heaven forbid that happens. But, you know, in case we do go into the extra time, and penalties, you know, then, who knows then. But as I say, Mark, you know, off the back of what I've seen from us this season, I still go back to my quote of, you know, we are a good side, but the problem is that we're consistently inconsistent. And although, you know, overall this season, we've had the injury problems, and you've got to take all of that on board when it comes to the slump around December, January time, because we had a horrendous injury list, you know, because we've got one of the smallest squads in the Premier League. Let's be honest about it.
I've just had a thought, actually. I've just thought of one player that could actually take Jamie Vardy clean out of the game. The problem is, if he does that, he's probably not going to be on the pitch for more than 80 seconds, and that'd be Alex Jankovic, and he's got form for it. I'm joking, everyone. That's tongue in cheek. I am joking.
And not just in the first team, but in the big team as well.
Exactly.
Plenty.
Go on, Alex, get out there and do number. So what are the instructions? What are the instructions, boss? Go out there, foul him, get sent off.
I just want to say this to the Saints fans, you know, make the most of it. I know you're all going to be at home, but try and make the most of it, you know, and savour it because, as I say, we don't get the semi-finals and finals that often, you know, so try and make the most of it. Hopefully, we're not on the end of a defeat and, you know, we'll be able to celebrate, you know, hopefully going back there in a month's time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely enjoy it. I went to the semi-final against Chelsea, you know, Mark. Had a really, really great day. my son was lucky enough to meet Ricky Lambert after the game, and he went and got a selfie, and I missed out. So yeah, well done on that one to my son. But it was a really good day out, and we had a thoroughly good day. Didn't get the result we wanted, but we had a fantastic time.
And of course, you and I unwittingly met up at the 2003 final, although we didn't know each other then, but had our photograph taken, obviously.
Yeah, that was at the Millennium Stadium. So we went all the way to Cardiff, everyone, me and Mark, not knowing each other, not being involved with the SDSA or anything like that. Didn't know each other, and we literally stood 3 feet apart, didn't even realise. Unbelievable. And I'm sort of glad me and Mark didn't know each other, because I know what Mark's like a little bit. And if he had seen me at Wembley singing with a Bible with me with 70,000 people crying my eyes out, he'd have been taking the absolute royal rip out of me. So in a way, I'm quite glad we didn't know each other at the time. What made it worse, Mark, was I'm right at the front row, right behind the goal where Arsenal scored it, unfortunately, the Swines. And I had a BBC cameraman right in my face. I'm singing a Bible with me with 70,000 people, floods of tears, looking ugly as you like, and a BBC camera in my face. Like, cheers, mate. Yeah, thanks for that.
But anyway,
Thankfully, I don't think I got on TV in the end.
One of the things I'm going to ask you, and this is something that all the Saints fans have been wondering, okay, is obviously Sunday we're at Wembley, right? I know it's only a semi-final, but is Ralph going to turn up in a suit? And if he isn't, if they were to make it to the final, will Ralph turn up in a suit?
I think he might. I'll tell you one thing though, he's not going to have a show.
For which game? For which game?
Oh, he'll turn up for the semi-final in a suit.
All right, okay, he's going to turn up for the semi-final.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be that's even good. That'll make my day if he turns up in a suit on Sunday, I tell you.
In fairness, Mark, can you see Ralph Hasenhüttl turning up in a suit?
I think the thing is
all I'm going to say is I'm glad he's Austrian and not Swedish, because if he's Swedish,
somebody opened this up on social media about, is he going to wear a suit? Is he not going to wear a suit? Right. The thing that I have the horrors about is that he turns up in a suit wearing a baseball cap.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd do. and his Under Armour trainers. Oh, that would be too much, wouldn't it? Yeah, come on, Ralph, turn up in a suit. But I've got to be honest, Mark, if he does wear a suit, the problem is if we get a win, it'd be very difficult for Ralph to do his celebration he does at the end if he's wearing a suit. He's going to look like a robot. Well, although I'm quite grateful.
It won't matter for the semi-final. It's 4,000 neutral fans, mate.
No, I meant for us at home. That's what I meant. I meant for us at home. Yeah, anyway. No, look. All I'm going to say is come on, Saints, in summary. Just come on, Saints. Put a performance in we can all be proud of. Give some pride back to everyone. It's what we need.
Come on, you Saints. Do it for the city. Do it for the supporters.
Absolutely. So I'd just like to say to everybody, thank you very much for joining us for this week's podcast in association with the Saints DSA. And hopefully you'll join us again next week. And should be just as good next week, and a bit of laughter and a bit of fun, hopefully. So it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me. Come on, you Saints.
Absolutely. Come on, you Reds.